Okay, let's talk about something big. The world feels, well, pretty turbulent right now, right? And there's this huge debate happening about who's in charge and how things should be run. We're going to dive into a major new idea on the table, China's Global Governance Initiative. It's basically their proposal to fix what they see as a global governance deficit.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the why. What problem is this even trying to solve? Then we'll dig into the what, the real meat of it, its core ideas. And finally, we'll look at the how, where this fits into China's bigger picture on the world stage. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so first things first, the problem. To really wrap our heads around this whole initiative, we've got to understand the world it's speaking to. So, why now? What's the big issue they're pointing to?
So the documents that lay all this out, they paint this picture of a world at a real turning point. They talk about a rise in, and I'm quoting here, hegemonism and protectionism, which in plain English is basically this idea that some powerful countries are just going it alone, putting their own interests way ahead of everyone else's. And that's really straining the old ways of doing things.
And it all boils down to what the proposal calls a governance deficit. And it breaks down into three main things, as you can see here. First, the Global South feels like it doesn't have enough of a voice. Second, there's this feeling that international laws are being applied with double standards. And third, we're just falling behind on the really big stuff, the collective challenges like climate change.
Right. So, after laying out that diagnosis of the problem, China has put its own solution on the table.
And that solution is the Global Governance Initiative, or GGI for short. It was officially put forward by President Xi Jinping, and it's being framed as a way to build a more just and fair global system for everyone.
They describe it as a global public good, offering up what they call Chinese wisdom to help solve these big international puzzles. The whole idea really is to shift the focus away from conflict and more towards cooperation.
Okay, so what's actually in this thing? What's under the hood? Well, the whole initiative is really built on 5 core concepts. Think of them as the foundational pillars holding the whole structure up.
And here they are. You've got sovereign equality, abiding by international rule of law, practicing multilateralism, a people-centered approach, and focusing on real results. Let's just quickly walk through what each of these really means. First up, sovereign equality. This one's a big deal. It's the idea that all countries, it doesn't matter if you're big or small, rich or poor, are equal. And a huge part of that is that no nation should be meddling in another country's internal business. Everyone gets their own seat at the table. Next up is the international rule of law. This pillar is all about making sure the rules, like the ones in the UN Charter, apply to everybody equally. No double standards. The idea is that the big, powerful nations in particular need to play by the same rules as everyone else.
Then we have pillar number 3, multilateralism. This is a pretty clear pushback against that go-it-alone attitude we talked about earlier. The proposal really champions the idea of making decisions together, collectively, with the United Nations acting as the main hub for all that cooperation.
Okay, and then there's the people-centered approach. This principle kind of brings everything back down to earth, to the human level. It basically argues that the real test of any global system is pretty simple. Does it actually make life better, safer, and more fulfilling for regular people?
And last but not least, a focus on real results. This is a call to, move past just talking. The point here is that global governance has to deliver actual, concrete actions that solve real problems. It's not just about producing more paperwork.
Now, this is really important to grasp. The GGI, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Not at all. It's actually the newest piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
This slide really lays it out perfectly. The GGI is the 4th in a whole series of major global initiatives from China. You've got the GDI, which is all about development, the GSI for security, the GCI for culture and civilization, and now the GGI, which kind of ties it all together by zeroing in on the system of governance itself.
So when you look at them all together, they're presented as this systematic package. It's really China's comprehensive vision for how global affairs should work, and it's designed to bring some stability to what they see as a really turbulent world.
So what's the end goal here? What are they really trying to do? The proposal is actually super clear about its intentions, what it is, and just as importantly, what it is not.
And this is a really key point. You can see it on the slide. The whole initiative is framed not as some revolution to tear down the current system, but as a reform to make it better. The stated goal isn't to replace institutions like the UN, but to improve them, to make them more effective and ready for the challenges we're facing today.
And the proposal gets pretty specific, too. It highlights these priority areas where it says global rules are needed most urgently. And that's a huge range, everything from the future of AI and cyberspace to the massive ongoing challenges of climate change and international finance.
Ultimately, the people who support this initiative believe that as more people see how relevant it is to global well-being, it'll start to build momentum. The hope is that it leads to a more inclusive world order, one where, more voices are heard and power is shared a bit more evenly.
So if you're going to take one thing away from all this, it's this. The GGI is presented as an evolutionary framework. It's a blueprint for reforming the global system, and it has this really clear focus on multilateralism and on giving a much bigger voice to the global south. And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. As these global challenges just keep piling up, how is this whole debate over how the world is governed going to change? Because as new ideas like the GGI enter the conversation, it's pretty clear the discussion about our collective future, well, it's really only just beginning.